Today we're going to talk about the present progressive verb tense. This is a continuation of what we've already talked about before about the present progressive. Before we get into the new topics, let's review what we already know. So first, we said that the present progressive is talking about an action that's happening right now. In contrast, simple present talks about a habitual action or a habit. So a habit is going to use words like always, sometimes, never, usually, often, things like this. The present progressive also talks about a present situation that is changing. So maybe a new trend or something that is new that's happening in the world, something that is different than the past. On the other hand, simple present talks about something that is always true. So it was true in the past, it was true when my grandparents were young, when my parents were young, when I was young, it's still true now, and it will be true in the future. This is a fact that no one can deny, okay? So I have 4 sentences down here. I'd like you to read through the sentences and then ask yourself, for example, number 1 uses present progressive. So we're gonna look over here and ask yourself, which rule does this sentence fit? Okay. For example, let's do number 1 together. Nowadays, people are using social media sites like Facebook to communicate instead of talking on the phone. So is this happening right now, or is it a present situation that is changing? I think it's a present situation that is changing because people aren't using social media at this very moment, but they're talking about the difference, right? Nowadays, people are using social media more, but in the past, in my grandparents' generation, they didn't use social media at all. So this is changing. So read the other sentences and then ask yourself, which rule does it fit? I'm going to give you the answers in just a moment, so you might want to pause your video while you think about it. Okay, so here are the answers. Number 2 shows a habit, right? The keyword here is often. Number 3 is a fact. Eating too much sugar is bad for your health. No one can deny that, right? That's always been true. That always will be true. And number 4, of course, is happening right now. Even though there are no keywords to show us, we understand that if the cousins are in the bedroom, they are there now, and that they are watching television at this moment. Okay, so just a little bit of a review of what we already know about the present progressive. Today we're going to talk about 2 more rules or 2 more ways that we use the present progressive. So let's get started. Here's a third use. We use the present progressive to emphasize a repeated action. So emphasize means to focus on or to make stronger, right? So here we're focusing on an action that happens more than one time, right? We often use this with always, continually, or still. So if you see one of these keywords, it means you might want to use the present progressive because we might be talking about a repeated action that we want to focus on. And very, very importantly, this use of the present progressive often expresses irritation. Irritation means frustration or anger about something that is happening repeatedly. Let's look at a few examples, okay? Before we get into the first example, I want you to imagine that you live in a house with a roommate who loves to cook, but the roommate never washes the dishes. So your kitchen always looks like this with a bunch of dishes in the sink. How is that going to make you feel? Probably irritated, right? So a sentence could be, my roommate is always leaving dirty dishes in the sink. By using the present progressive and the word always, we are showing irritation. The speaker feels frustrated or irritated. Another sentence could be about politicians, because many people get frustrated with politicians. Politicians are continually breaking their promises, right? So again, here we're using present progressive are breaking, and we're also using the keyword continually to show how irritated or angry and frustrated the speaker is. I like to think about this use of present progressive like someone is rolling their eyes, like, ugh, again? You left the dishes in the sink again? Ugh, right? So when you're rolling your eyes, you might want to use the present progressive. Okay, our last use of the present progressive is super important, okay? And it has to do with this guy over here. Do you remember in like a movie when someone holds down this black and white chalkboard? And what does he say when he flips the little thing down? He says, action, right? So we often use the present progressive to express an action verb, right? We also call these active verbs, okay? So action verbs are things that we could potentially act out, like talk, dance, eat, drink, or study, right? I can show you dance, right, without using any words. I could show you eat without using any words, or drink. These are action verbs if we can act them out. A non-action verb, also called a stative verb, is a verb that we cannot act out. So if I say, show me have, it's very difficult to show me have, right? Or if I say, show me believe, can you act that out? No, I don't think so. So we call these non-action verbs. Now, very, very importantly, if we know that a verb is an action verb or a non-action verb, we have some rules. Action verbs can use either simple present or present progressive. We will follow the rules that we already know in order to decide which verb tense to use. If it is a non-action verb, like be, have, smell, feel, believe, then we do not use progressive verb tenses. So if I'm going to use one of these verbs in blue, I'll probably use it in present simple tense. Let's look at some examples. Sarah is looking for her backpack. She believes she left it at school. So here, is looking is an action verb. I can show you how to look, right? I can search, right? And so this is an action verb. I'm going to use present progressive. She's looking right now. She believes she left it at school. Believes is a non-action verb or a stative verb. So I'm going to use present simple. Even though she believes right now, I still need to use present simple because it's a non-action verb. Number 2, cheetahs have spots on their fur. This is also a non-action verb. Can you show me have? Can you act it out? No, so it's a non-action verb. I'm going to use present simple because non-action verbs usually do not use progressive verb tenses. So it's a little bit difficult to memorize all non-action verbs. So I suggest a tip is to memorize them by category. If you can remember one category, then you can remember that all the verbs in that category are non-action. So one non-action category is possession. Possession means ownership, if you own something or it belongs to you. So all these verbs, own, belong, include, and have, they are all non-action verbs. Again, just memorize the category of possession, and then you'll know that all possession verbs are non-action verbs. The next category is description. So verbs that describe are also non-action verbs. So sound, smell, taste, feel, look, and be are all non-action verbs. The next one is emotion, right? So things like, love, hate, want, and need are all verbs of emotion, and they're all non-action. And the last one is belief, right? So know, believe, seem, doubt, agree, disagree, and think. These are all non-action verbs as well, okay? So I have a couple of examples here. Here's the first one. Tamara's son is hating broccoli, right? So if we look at the verb is hating, we'll notice that it's using present progressive. But take a look up here. Hate is a non-action verb. Can we use it in progressive? No. So we need to change that one to Tamara's son hates broccoli. I have another couple of sentences here, and I'd like you to pause the video, stop the video, and think about, are these verbs correct or incorrect? And if any are incorrect, can you change them, just like we did in number 1? So again, please pause the video because I'm going to give you the answer in just a moment. Okay, so if you said that what are you cooking is okay, that's good. Cook is an action verb. So we can ask Medi, what are you cooking right now, right? It is smelling so good is a non-action verb. Smell, we can see from the chart, is a non-action verb. So I can cross that out and I can fix it using present simple. Medi, what are you cooking? It smells so good, right? The tricky thing is that some verbs can be both action and non-action verbs. Let's take a look. So the first sentence says, the company is looking for a new location. Here, this is an action verb, right? Because the company is maybe searching for a new location. They want to move buildings and they are looking in the real estate listings for a new location. So here, look is action, and we can use it with present progressive. On the other hand, the sky looks smoky. Here, looks is describing the sky. And so this is a non-action verb. So we can see how look can be an action verb and also a non-action verb. It depends on the sentence. Here's another one. My sister is having a hard time working at home because she has 2 young children. This is true. This is my sister Katie and her 2 young children, Audrey and Connor. They're so cute, aren't they? So here in this sentence, we have an action verb, right? Is having is an action verb, right? Because at the moment, she is experiencing a hard time. And then we also have has, which is a non-action verb. When it's talking about possession, it's a non-action verb. She owns 2 young children, or she has 2 young children. So again, have is both action and non-action. Action when it's talking about experience, non-action when it's talking about possession, right? All right, here's a little bit of practice. I'd like you to fill in the blank with the correct simple present or present progressive form of the verb in parentheses. Hint, you can ask yourself, is this an action or a non-action verb? You can think about the categories that we learned in order to do this. And again, please pause the video as you do this. I'm going to give you the answers in just a moment. All right, so that was fast. Here are the answers, okay? I love all kinds of animals. Love is a non-action verb because it talks about emotion. Number 2, I don't know the answer to number 7. Can you help me? This is also a non-action verb, right? Know is a non-action verb, so we're going to use it in present simple only. We can't use present progressive even though it's talking about something that's happening right now, okay? And we know no is a non-action verb because of the category belief. Number 3, shh, the teacher is talking, right? The teacher is talking right now at this moment, and talk is an action verb because we could act out talk, right? We could act it like an actor. The teacher is talking and I want to hear her. Good. Even though this one is an action verb, is happening right now, this is also happening right now, but we're going to use present simple. And the reason is want is a non-action verb. Want is also an emotion, the emotion category. Number 4, these days many people are using the internet to work from home because we want to stop the spread of coronavirus, right? So are using, use is also an action verb, and The key word here is these days. This is an action that is changing, right? A present action that is changing. Okay, so I hope this helps students kind of build off what we've learned already about present progressive and then also integrate the new rules that we're learning about present progressive.